beautiful. Thank you, Bonnie, Jerry, Mel, Shannon, Michelle, for being with me here today in person, and all of you who are here on our live stream with us today. I thought I would start today with a quote from Charles Fillmore that I think is just so perfect for this time that we are going through. So this is what Charles Fillmore has to say. The true church is not made of creeds and forms, nor is it contained in walls of wood and stone. The heart of humankind is its temple, and the Spirit of truth is the one guide into all truth. When humankind learns to turn within to the Spirit of truth, who is in each one for their light and inspiration, the difference between the churches of humankind will be eliminated, and the one true church will be recognized. A quote from Charles Fillmore, reminding us all today of that one true church that is within us, that Christ light, and in that Christ Spirit we can all join together in consciousness, in spirit, and in this idea of one humanity, one church, one love, one life. So at this point in our normal right now, but actually I want to continue doing that. And so yesterday it was kind of prompted by a beautiful email that I received from Todd Bartlemold that I'm going to share in a moment. But each one of you are really invited to share with me, either through my email or on one of our social media streams, how are you using these spiritual practices in your life right now to move through this time. So before I get to Todd's, I want to share a short one. This one is from Rita Enlow. Rita said, this week I said, God is here often. Oh boy, so did I, Rita, and I'm sure so did many of us. It was such a perfect spiritual practice for us this past week. God is here. So I said it with you a lot, Rita. Rita goes on to say, like a mantra, this morning I woke up with a song. He has the whole world in his hands. The whole world in his hands. When it is warmer, I will sing this song from my balcony. So thank you, Rita. And I see you singing this song from your balcony as the weather gets warmer, and we'll all join with you. So this is kind of the email that prompted my realizing that we could still share these spiritual ideas. And this is what I got from Todd and Jennifer, Todd Bartlemold and Jennifer, and this is what they said. Jen and I were out walking this morning and talking about the COVID-19 and what we are seeing in our collective society, and based on our discussion, I jotted down the following and thought I would share it with you. Unity principle number 3 states that we are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. Principle number 5 tells us that through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth that we know. As we experience the effects of COVID-19, including the response of our society to take protective measures, we can see and experience how our thoughts, words, and actions create our truth. This past week, we saw many people fearing a deficit of toilet paper, buying as much as they could carry. I have read nothing that would indicate contracting COVID-19 transforms us into prolific defecators in need of mass quantities of toilet paper. Clearly, fears aren't always rational. This has demonstrated for me that when we collectively experience lack, unity principles predict the outcome. We are co-creators with God, creating our reality by the thoughts and beliefs we hold and the actions we take based on those thoughts and beliefs. When we hold thoughts of shortages, the result is shortages. Our fear of lack creates the lack we fear. The lesson for me is that this is how it is in our everyday lives. The situation we find ourselves in is the one we have created, and it is no different than the situations we create for ourselves every single day of our lives. It is not unique or extraordinary in any way. It is just the defined outcome of our thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Our response to COVID-19 brings into fine focus for me the way it works, the way thoughts create our reality repeatedly in our lives. It is true on all levels, small and large. What has happened the last week or two is a powerful reminder to me that we perpetually co-create our lives with God through our daily thoughts and beliefs. To that end, I continue to hold beliefs and thoughts of blessing, prosperity, love, and abundance to our families and community, and to all of us who come into contact with us. Love, Todd and Jennifer. So thank you to Todd and Jennifer for sharing that beautiful inspiration of how you are practicing these spiritual principles at this moment. And I so appreciate hearing from you. So Reverend Karen Shepard was supposed to be here today, and I'm going to say hi to Karen because I know she was going to be on our live stream today. And her topic was, it's the principle of the thing. And so it was decided at some point this week, then rather than having Karen come and share, that I would be here today with you all. And I decided that Reverend Karen's topic of it's the principle of the thing was perfect for this time. Because if there's one thing that we can all know and have faith in and trust, it is that spiritual principle and truth is spiritual principle and truth. And it doesn't matter where we are in any moment of time or in any experience that we are going through, the principles remain the same. God is here through it all. So I wanted to talk today about how we can use these spiritual principles that we all know and apply them here so that we can each remain grounded and centered in walking through this time, recognizing the amazing possibilities and blessings that all of us have the opportunity to experience, just as Todd and Jennifer shared, just as Rita shared in her practice. So I'm just going to start by going through our 5 principles together as our reminder, as my reminder. So the first one being that God is the only power, the only presence in my life and in the universe. Wow. Let's take that in for a moment. There is so much fear, so much worry, so much concern that is washing over the planet right now. And each of us has the opportunity to stand firmly in our principles of knowing that God is here present. We, each and every one of us, have that power of understanding within us. And as we turn to that power of understanding and take a breath and center there, we can come to know that standing under all of this is that power and presence of God. That there are tremendous blessings that are coming from this experience and through this situation. And while I don't want to minimize those who are really going through really hard challenges with this, who maybe are experiencing the effect of the virus, that are maybe losing loved ones because of this virus, I also don't want us to forget that God is here. That at any moment we can pause, we can breathe, we can find that center once more. As Eric Butterworth reminds us, God is that whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. So whatever it is that we are experiencing in this moment, we can find God here. We can find love here. We can find faith here. We can find strength here. We can find power here. We can find all that we truly need here as we center in that awareness. So what does that call for us as Unity Truth students? Well, as we become aware once more that our mind has moved to those error thoughts, what Charles Fillmore defined as our sins, what here in Lent we are supposed to be fasting from, those error thoughts, we can simply choose to change our mind. We can invoke the power of our will. The power of our will that gives us the power to make a different choice. It is within you and it is within me. It is within the entire human population. We can choose again. And so I'm inviting you to become aware this week of when you see that you have moved from that place of truth and to remind yourself, wait a minute, God is here. God is always here. God is always present. God is always available. And God is good and intends for me to experience my good. Principle number 1. Principle number 2 tells us that we each have that spirit of the divine within us. We are not separate from God. Like Jesus said, I and the Father are one. This was his truth, and it is a timeless principle that is true for us today. I and God are one. So let us remember that. Let us remember that that Spirit of God that is within all of creation is within me. Let us take comfort in that. Let us claim our power in that. We are not mere mortal beings, but we are divine spirits expressing uniquely, individually as each one of us. So let us find that power of that Spirit of Christ within. Over this season of Lent, we have been looking at Richard Rohr's book on the universal Christ, and while we're taking a week break from that will return next week. The whole idea behind that book is that Christ Spirit has been present since the beginning of creation, since God said, "Let there be light." Light filled all of creation, and creation became Christ-soaked. That means you, and that means me. We have the Spirit of Christ within us. Second principle in unity. We stand in faith with that. We know that. We allow ourselves to experience the power of that. God is within me, and I can find that power and presence within. So how do we practice that this week? Well, again, as we become aware that our thoughts have moved into error, we choose again, remembering God is here, present, active within me, and I can make a choice to be that love expressing, to be that life expressing, to be that creativity expressing. We don't have to be so focused on the problem that we can't see the possibility that this moment brings. Isn't it amazing how many ways we have found this week to connect in community while being virtual? So the idea has moved from social distancing to physical distancing. Yes, we have to distance from each other physically, but that doesn't mean that we have to be distant from each other, heart to heart, spirit to spirit. We can connect in so many ways because we are one in that divine Spirit of Christ within, who is informing our mind right here, right now, with perfect divine ideas. Which leads me to principle number 3. Principle number 3 tells us that we are co-creating our world together through the thoughts that we are holding in mind and the feelings that we are experiencing in that. So you and I have the opportunity here to create from this place. We can create from this place of the problem, from the separation, from the limitation, from the not enoughness, or we can choose again to create from this place that all things are possible. All things are possible to him who believes. And so as I made peace with the idea that I was going to be here today speaking to you live stream, not here in person in our Unity Hall, once that decision was made, then my whole mind began to expand with, great God, now what can we do? What can we do to stay connected with one another? The ideas keep coming, the ideas that we can receive, divine ideas that we can each receive and bring into demonstration during these times so that we can stay focused on what is possible here. I can't believe the many ways that we have available to us to remember these truths. So, how do we practice this? We practice this by remembering that as we move through our days, the thoughts that we're holding in our mind are creating our experience. I believe that it is very important to follow the recommended protocols and guidelines, but we can do that without fear. As our daily word reminded us today, God did not give us a spirit of fear. God has given us a spirit of power and love and life and light, and we can take that and create from that. How many new ways can we find of connecting with one another? Like Rita out on her balcony singing, "He's got the whole world in his hands." What creative idea can you come up with today to connect with someone that you have not connected with yet? Principle number 3. Principle number 4, timeless teaching that has been true throughout the ages. We can always take time to pause, be still, pray, and meditate. No matter where we are, no matter who we are with, God is here. And we have the ability to connect with that power and that presence that is God here now through the gift of prayer and meditation. And I love that Unity has this affirmative way of praying. It's not a begging and it's not a beseeching. It's not a God, please save us. We know God has already saved us here now in this moment, providing us with all that we need. So we affirm this. We know this together. We take time to pause and be still. I've seen many memes going around talking about how this world is adjusted and changing, how suddenly we've got time. We've got time to do those things that we've put off. We've got time in our day now, perhaps, to be still and know we've got more time to connect with one another. And so one of the things that I'm encouraging you to do is take the time in your day to just breathe, to just be still, to just know. One of the things that fear can do, that worry can do, that doubt can do, is it can cause us to stay in that monkey mind of our head, and it can cause us to forget to take that breath. Our breathing can become shallow. So as we pause to breathe, we allow the oxygen to return to our brain. We allow ourselves to calm, to center, to be still. And know that as you and I do that, and then we move about the activity of our day, our actions will reflect the peace and the calm that we are experiencing from within, rather than that worry and that doubt. So our fourth timeless principle is to take time each day to pray, to meditate, to be still. And of course, we at Unity Spiritual Center are giving you an opportunity to do that together in community, as we have been for nearly 3 years, through our daily prayer call, 8 a.m. each morning, which this week I began to record, so that even if you cannot be there at 8 a.m., knowing the importance of community and prayer at this time, we now have that recording available to you. It'll be up for about a week, and you can find that on our website, so please look for that. Join together in prayer. The fifth unity principle is, I think, one of the most important ones for us to remember right now, and that's that we have to practice what we know. At times like this, it feels to me like there is a magnifying lens on my life. You know, it's easy to walk through life going, oh yeah, I got this, when life is going along as it normally does. But when something shifts, when something changes, when something invites us to go deeper, this magnifying lens is there showing me how I respond and react to the situations that life gives to me. I've experienced this a couple of times in my life, as I'm sure you have. It's in those moments that feel like a step out of normal, whether we're going through a health challenge or a relation challenge or a job challenge or whatever. This is a huge challenge, and all of humanity is walking through it together right now. And so what you and I are being called to do is to really walk this talk, to know it beyond our head. And how do we know it beyond our head? By living it in our lives. You know, I've been teaching this class on the Christ, and one of the questions that has come up a couple of times is, well, how do I do this? How do I live as the Christ? How do I demonstrate that Christ light? I'm sure you've all heard the joke about, an elephant. An elephant is huge. How in the world do you ever eat an elephant, right? And the response is, well, you eat it one bite at a time. So how do we become this Christ light that seems so big and so huge? And how would we ever do that? We do that one step at a time. One right thought that we hold, one right word that we speak, one right action that we take, but we do it. We forgive. We hold people with compassion and understanding during these days. We reach out and connect. We hold one another in our hearts. We speak the truth in love. We do these things that we know day by day, moment by moment, step by step, and in that way, we demonstrate that Christ light that we are. Here's our challenge, I think. We have spoken in unity of Jesus being our way shower, our teacher, our light, who's showing us the way. And we all have this vision in our mind of who Jesus is. And most of the time we think, but I'm not that. Don't let that stop you from knowing, believing, living as that Christ that you are. You are not here to be a little Jesus. You are here to demonstrate your Christ light in your unique way. This is the timeless principle that I want you to get today. And so one step at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time, one choice at a time, we become that Christ light demonstrating. So those are our 5 unity principles, timeless teachings that you can take and live this week. And I gave you ideas in each of those of how you can practice them. So rather than having one spiritual practice this week, I'm going to invite you into which of those would you like to focus on this week? The idea that God is here again, everywhere present. Did you work on that this past week? Do you need some more work on that? I know I do. I'm going to be affirming that. The idea that I am the Christ light, so how can I show up as that? The idea that my thoughts are creating my reality, so taking charge of my thoughts. The idea of taking time to pray and meditate this day. And the idea of living these truths in new ways. 5 practices, 5 principles. Choose one. Focus on it. Send me an email. reply on social media. Let me know how this is making a difference to you. And together we will move through this time. This too will pass. And we will be gathered together once more here in Unity Hall. So at some point this week, I also got the understanding that Easter services were likely not going to be live. And I'm pretty sure in 2 weeks we still will not be meeting together. So we're going to make Easter as amazing as possible. And one of the ways that I was thinking about doing that is that I would love for you to make a little video. So you can make those on your phone. You can make those on your tablet if you've got one. Just do a simple recording. And this is what I want you to answer. How are you being resurrected during this time in community, in your life? What new is being born within you as we meet this time in those 5 principles? And what I want you to do is, it doesn't have to be long, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. I want you to share those videos with me. So all you need to do is send me an email, Reverend Joanne, I'm making my video, and then I'll send you a link of where you could upload that video. And it's my plan to put those all together so that on Easter we can show the many ways, the many faces, the many opportunities that we are all having to resurrect during this time. So please take me up on that so that I've got something to share Easter morning with you. Meanwhile, know that I am with you. Know that we continue to provide many ways for you to connect. Know that I am standing in faith with you. And I love you all. God bless. Make it a good week.